And I think we should get started with probably the most notable album release of the month. Justin, you want to take it away?
Wolves of the Gate dropping their sixth studio album, I want to say. I think the number's right. Eulogies.
Now, Justin, I know
Yeah.
this band is very near and dear to your heart, but I want to start this one.
Okay.
So, following their 2019 album Eclipse, I thought this band was alright. There are a couple good songs on there. The singles start dropping for this album with, what was it? Shadows and Lights and Fire. Wasn't really feeling that one.
Well, Stop the Bleeding was the first one.
Stop the Bleeding,
Shadows.
Yeah. And then Lights and Fire, wasn't really feeling that. So I kind of thought I was getting into the same old Wolves at the Gate. That it was just going to be alright. And Peace That Starts the War. We talked about that last month, and that was probably my favorite single. And then March comes around. We get Deadweight as a single. And I should have seen it as a sign from that point on. But when I listen to this album front to back, I'm waiting to be disappointed in the same way that I was with Eclipse. And I never got there.
Oh.
From top to bottom, I was expecting this next song is going to be... Surely this next one, it disappoints me a little bit. That did not happen a single time across the, 13 tracks? 11 tracks? I want to say 13. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed every single song on here. From top to bottom. In saying that, there's a handful that I haven't gone back to very much beyond the week that it released. But I am so happy with this album that I don't really care. Like, in terms of expectations versus reality, album
with you that
in terms of expectations versus reality, this is the biggest surprise of the year for me so far. And it's not particularly close.
Yeah. I listened to that to the album with you when it released, and it was pretty exciting to finally have something that I can talk with other people when it comes to this band. Because I felt like I was just kind of preaching to an echo chamber. Well, I think Jacob and Derek at least understood, like, the band. But I also just wasn't really sold on the singles. And then this album comes out and we get songs like No Tomorrow, Kiss the Wave.
And can we talk about the closer? Can we talk about Silent Anthem?
Silent Anthem is
the best closer of the year?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. And I feel
it
like
is. It is song... up there. It is the number one. Prove me wrong.
That song live is going to fucking destroy. It's going to be so good to watch that. I hope I get to see them live to just watch that.
I would not have been excited to see Wolves at the Gate live after Eclipse. I would actively seek out seeing this band live after this album now. I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
I feel like they're going to put a really good show, because when I saw them back in 2019, like, had just recently seen the Dayseeker show, I felt like Wolves of the Gate put on a really good show too. And it was just them and I forget the bands they had supporting them. But this album in general, to kind of reel back to the album, I personally, just because I listened to the album more, I think I just as a sentimental value, I like Eclipse more.
I mean, but yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not surprised to hear that. I'm not surprised to hear that. I know how much that album means to you.
Yeah, this album is just way better, in my opinion. I feel like the problems that Eclipse had was that there were some songs that stagnated the energy off that album.
Yep, that's what I remember.
Slowed it down to a point where it kind of fell off. This definitely did not have that.
This is a
I was
consistent ride
worried.
from top to bottom.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
was
think
worried that the. Sorry.
I said I think I could agree with that. With what Jake said, it's a consistent ride from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think the one song, two two songs that kind of fall off, unfortunately, were at the closer end to the album, White Flag and Out of Sight.
Yep, definitely
Out
agree.
of Sight, I think, being the weakest on the album,
It's
but
those two.
I
It's
still
those two and
kinda,
Lights and Fire, which still hasn't really clicked with me. But other than that, it's really hard for me to try and find a weak spot on this album. It's really hard.
yeah.
Like I
Can we
thought
fucking
this would just be
talk
a
about Kiss the
very
Wave?
mid-table. Oh, hold on. I thought this was just going to be a very mid-table album. I did not have very many expectations. The fact that I'm coming out of this album, even considering it is potentially borderline top 10 album of the year, I don't think it's going to be a top 10 album of the year. But the fact that it's even close is, I never would have expected that. Like, I'm thinking of this in the same vein as like that Landless album of last year, which wasn't in my top 10, but it was on that borderline. It was probably in like the 15, 16-ish range. I think that this album is probably right around that range, if not better. And depending on the strength of other album releases this year, who knows, it could move up or down, but I am extremely satisfied with this album. So you can continue now.
Yeah. Some songs that I want to make reference to. Kiss the Wave has a really good fucking energy,
Banger.
top to bottom. One of the best songs they've released. One of my favorite songs, No Tomorrow. Kind of is that blend of the cleans, kind of softer vocals mixed with that higher energy that or that kind of like softer energy, not too high like Kiss the Wave is, but it's slowed down to a point where it's not going to stagnate the album. It's one of the songs I enjoy. One song that I keep coming back to, and I know it's a cover, Embracing Accusation. Um, I want to fucking talk about the ending point of that song, because the fucking guitar, like how it increases in energy toward the end of that song is just incredible. Where it goes from I cannot gain salvation, and then while he's saying salvation, just the guitars fucking coming on that song, and then the last chorus changes to "Oh, the devil's singing over me," an age-old song that I'm cursed and gone astray. Um, that entire like last bit of that song just continues to sell me, and it's one of the few songs from this album I just constantly have on repeat. Um, Other songs that I'll kind of give mention to, Peace Starts the War is probably one of the better singles. It's not one of my favorite singles that Wolves of the Gate have produced. I still think that um, What's in the Violence is one of my favorite Wolves of the Gate songs, especially in the Dawn EP. But this album in general really hit a mark that I think Wolves of the Gate are free to stick with, and I think if they continue this like higher energy, with maybe the Redux albums being what slows them down, I think we're on par for like a band that has really good potential for more really good releases.
Yeah, absolutely. The pacing on this album, I think, is the biggest game changer that this album brings compared to Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, I was expecting something to just drop off. Like, I expected there to be some moment in this album where I'm taken out of the experience and I'm just not enjoying it for a song. That never happened to me. From Shadows till the end of Silent Anthem as that song fades out. I am in, like, I'm just in for the ride the entire time. I do want to make note of a couple things. The opening riff of Eulogies, I don't know if you got, I'm posted about this in the chat when the album drops, but the opening of Eulogies, that opening riff, Go listen to that, and then listen to Hypochondria by Dragged Under. You'll see what I mean. And then the closer, Silent Anthem, very reminiscent of No More Roses by Holding Absence in the drumming in particular, with just like, it's like 6 or 8 hits of the drum and then like a little bit of a pause and then you go back into it. And then Kiss the Wave, very reminiscent to the style of Written by Wolves. In some aspects, this is still very much a Wolves at the Gate song, but it has elements of Written by Wolves that we both recognized on that first night listen. Those were kind of 3 comparisons that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk more about Deadweight, because I've praised Silent Anthem as being my favorite closer of the year so far, and it's pretty uncontested. Deadweight is my favorite song off of this album. Arguably a top 10 song of the year for me at this point. One of my favorite metalcore songs that I've heard all year. From the moment that the song opens up with Don't Stop Bleeding Out the Pride in Me, and then you hit that first breakdown riff, the chorus is fucking insane, the breakdown is insane. It's a fantastic song. I should have taken Deadweight as a sign that this album was going to deliver more than I had expected it to, but I had not adjusted my expectations accordingly, and was pleasantly surprised for it.
Hell yeah.
Derek, Jacob, anything you guys want to add here?
So, I think this is my favorite Wolves at the Gate. Like, it's the most consistent, I'd say. I don't think it has my favorite song by Wolves at the Gate. I think, is that Lowborn? I actually don't know.
It's got to be Lowborn.
I don't know if Lowborn is my favorite song, but I don't know. I really like The Cure too.
Lowborn's not on the album. The Cure's really good.
Right.
The Dawn version of that is also phenomenal.
I don't think I've heard that. I probably have heard it, but just not in a while. But yeah, I think this is the most consistent album, and like Jake said, Silent Anthem is closer of the year so far. I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, I will agree that this is probably the most consistent Wolves at the Gate album for me. I think Shadows is the strongest song off here, and also the only one that I've saved. A lot of the album sounded a little too samey for me, but I think that this band is undeniably talented, both instrumentally and vocally, and one of those definitely where I wish I was enjoying it more than I was. More in like a long-term sense. Like, I got through the album and I was like, okay, I enjoy what I listened to, but I'm not feeling anything really drawing me back in, unfortunately. But you know, the fact that, I mean, I know it's a Wolves Gate album, just like it, but the fact that Jake also got into it, you know, Jake's surprise enjoyment is enough for me, in the sense that I feel like he kind of won for the both of us, you know.
Like, if we're talking about albums that I have enjoyed listening to the most on first listen, it's probably Bad Omens and then Wolves at the Gate for me this year, top 2. Even though I don't think Wolves at the Gate is top 2 album of the year so far, in terms of like that first listen is extremely memorable for me. Just as I said, expectations versus reality. This album smashed my expectations out of the water.
I also think I need more time, similar to like what happened with the Varsity album, because if I'm gonna be honest, that's probably my second most played album this year, the Varsity album, which I feel like I shouldn't have said that. It would have been a surprise at the end of the year. I don't know if it makes it.
Right. No, I'm kind of feeling that too.
But yeah, it's like I feel like I need more time with this.